Hey guys, this is Simon with TRADEnPERFORM Coaching, doing the market preview for March 30th, 6. So let's just jump in and take it one little step at a time. Okay, so and good morning. I hope everyone had a good weekend, and we have an up market, so let's change. So what I've been, so I'll show you this morning on the Trader Assist version. You know what? I may have left a square on. So I apologize. I sent it out with a square on. So this is going to take square on the turn. Okay, it doesn't, but it does take square on the turn, right? So the stop is currently set to original 7 points. When it gets to 6 micros, obviously reset the risk to whatever's appropriate for your account size. So 6 micros, 4 points, scale half, and the next scale out is 10 points, and it moves the stop from -7 to -4. This is kind of what I want to achieve as a break-even trade or knock it out of the park any way you want. So this morning, entry 1, here I'll just put it, long and short, and this morning, entry 1, delta stuffed. When it has an algo on the stuff, okay, so you delta stuff, then follow up by an algo, it tends to have larger extensions than when there's a delta stuff like this and no on the turn. It's trade 1, trade 2, trade 3, right? Smaller extension, trade 4. Again, all I'm trying to accomplish with this really is to make sure it kicks. Important notes, if you're trading this in like an Apex accounts, right? You can be short NQ and long ES. They consider that hedging, just FYI. So you should decide which firm you're running what at so you don't get into that confusion. And obviously this side's the long side of the formula, so you can show you where this gets in trouble. Okay, so this gets in trouble, right? Okay, so you can see where it would just take, where we are in a clear downtrend and there's no counter rotation. So this trade 1, that would, right? Trade 2, that pays. Trade 3 pays, right? Trade 4 stops. But you obviously don't want, you know, let me find one other location because it's important to note where you can get tagged out. So when it looks like this too, like when we just sit there, well, obviously you could have scalped out of all these, right? But in my book, it goes, this is one trade because it just would have stopped out. It wouldn't have refired before it stopped, right? So it goes one stop and then paid. And obviously that trade goes roughly, I'm not going to measure it, but it's 57 to 79, right? This is scalps out. If you left the trailer, this is a break-even trade for me because it gets to 4, but then it stops out because I bring the stop up to net break-even. And same thing with this. This gets to 4, but it's going to come out and tag out, I think, -4 without doing all the work on it, right? And then here's the short side of that equation. Now, I have this on a 3rd channel entry. If you need it knocked back to a 4th channel, just tell me and I'll knock it back. But this is not meant to flip and forget like the 1-minute trader, right? So it just simply isn't. So it's simply to help you get in the trade when you want it. So you don't have to sit there right on the edge, but you can see where the shorts are popping in. So they're not all delta stuffs. This is square down. I thought I took it out. I didn't on this, so I apologize. I did on NQ, and I don't have NQ ready to send out. 1, trade 2, that's 8. And then I'd still turn it on. Trade 1, stuffed after 9 o'clock. That came at 10:06 a.m. Trade 2, that's square down. The 30-point stop would keep you, 7-point stop would stop you here, so you'd be re-entered right here. Sorry, I was thinking in queue for a second, right? Trade 3 just doesn't hit the 3rd channel over there, and I think we get one more short on this on Friday. It was right at the end of the day. Nobody would have taken it. And my intention was to take the square off turn. Some people will want it. Some people, if you want it removed and you're using the trader assist, that's cool. If you don't, that's cool too. I'll leave it as is for now. I just right? So next, it's the last 2 days of the month, right? So I'm not running the 1 minute trader assist today. I see a significant edge on the last 2 days of the month, right? And I don't want to get drawn down. We've been down a bunch of days in a row. Concerned about us into a non-rotational, kind of like what we had last night. Let me go over and show it. Like on the 32 tick, and I know that's a big chart, but you can see we just went for rotation down, right? And as you know, set, the rotations are set when it enters the trade, right? When we enter a trade, we're looking right now for like 20, 30, 60 points on NQ extensions. And you can just see, so this is really important if you'll pretend like this is the US, right? You'll see that we have really wide ranges. So let's go through our basic list of how we know if we're going up. So first of all, Globex low, Globex high. Usually on trend down, we're below Globex low. On trend up, we're above Globex high. Not always. Number two, we'll be above first hour high almost every time. If we have a wide first hour, it really kind of, unless we just hang out for half an hour above that first hour high, we're probably just going to have a really wide, slow rotational day, right? Um, uh, Number three, the 5 minute and the 1 minute, the pink and white lines, right? We'll be underneath both of those on trend down. We'll be above both of those on trend up, right? So here's the deal. The shorts have gotten really easy, shooting a barrel kind of easy, right? You could just fire on them and almost everything was working, right? Now multiply that across a lot of people and a lot of traders, right? When my 35 years of experience tells me that when shorting gets too easy, like it was on Thursday and Friday, when it gets too easy, right, it's near the end of the shorting cycle, at least for a few days, right? Bear market rallies can be brutal to the upside, right? So I spoke to someone on Friday, right, and they said something really interesting when I was talking to them. They went kind of off process, on process, right? But they got this idea in their head, and this happens to me a lot, right? And I had to write it down to make sure I'm not fighting the market, right? And what he said to me when I was speaking to him while we were coaching is he says, well, I just thought we were down too much and we would bounce. That was wrong, right? And so when you look back, right, if you're a trader and a trader tells you, okay, here's Friday, right? So yeah, right? So this is not picking on the base analysis, right? Notice when we started rolling hard to the downside, right? If you look at that trade on below the first hour low, right? So you'll see we went from a balanced environment, right? Here's Globex low, here's first hour low. And remember, when we trend, we tend to be below or for downside or upside. We'll be below that first hour low and time. So if, right, so get all the pieces in place. So first of all, the entire day from Friday and glue all the pieces together. So first of all, easy. We were below the 5 minute 200 period moving average. We stayed below for most of the Friday session of it, but most of it we were below the 1 minute 200, right? We got below Globex low, and you can see that, and this is what I'm talking about, responsive buyers. Back up, excuse me, and they tried to hold the head and shoulders, right? So when you lose a head and shoulders like that, That's really bearish, just FYI when you lose it. That's on a 32 tick, so, but the higher the time frame, the more important, right? Number two, if we were going to trend up, I think we definitely would be above the 5-minute, which I'll show you in just a second, 200 period moving average, right? So then you think, oh, trend down, but we notice here's the first hour low. This is the IB low, first hour for a test, and we got responsive buyers, right? Couldn't do, if we were going to go up, right, if we're going to trend up, we would have taken out this 8:30 a.m. high. That's another big clue this morning. If you'll look at the first 5-minute rotation, if we're going to be going down, we'll be underneath the 5-minute. We'll be above the 5-minute if we're going to trend up, right? So it doesn't mean you have to. It just means you're just putting together check marks of, yeah, we're above the 5-minute, we're above the first hour, we're above the 200. Just so you don't come up with an idea. And so organic to go, well, I think we should bounce here. Into that's what's going to happen, right? So if it's going to happen, so here's the other side of the anxiety. If it happens and I right, then I'll miss it, right? So let's see if that's true. So first of all, you came in. Now, if you'll notice, right, if we were going to go up, right, think about the logic of the argument in the afternoon that we're going to go back up. The first thing we would have done is we would have recaptured that first hour low. You can see there was a lot of buyers that are all trapped, right? And then you can see we couldn't even get, and everything short worked in that area. You could have shot, just guessed, and it worked, right? Tonight, watch how the market worked, right? So here, right here, this is the, if you do the first 5 minutes, let's call this the first 5-minute high right there, right? So last night, if I'm going to go, hey, like I don't have to even look at profile or support or resistance or anything else in that chart, right? The first thing I'm going to say is, if we're going to go up, right, I'm going to be above that first 5-minute high. I know it's a 20-minute high technically, but same thing, right? Same difference there. Okay. Next, I'll clearly hold above the 1 minute. Now look what happens. Let's say well, if we're long, now let's take our trades on process, right? Let's just reconstruct what happened last night into today's trade and show you how this person could have ended up trading profitably, right? Okay, well, I'm in supernova. Square on the turn, square stuff, that's fine, but square on the and delta stuffed in a 2-bar combo. So as you're coming across, nothing, no delta stuffed. So you still stay calm because remember, it isn't just getting the read right. We want the entry right and the easiest P&L in the direction of, right? So as you're coming up, now imagine this person goes, watch here, looking for delta stuff or square on the turn. Here's your first one, right? Your stop did not get hit, right? That's at, to be short, you're above the first 5-minute high, you're above the 1 minute 200, you're above the 5-minute, and if you look back to the left, we failed Friday, right there. So that's the next thing that has to go off, right? So in order to break, to trap back in where everyone lose the rotation, lock into place, and resume what you were doing before, right? So if that person wanted to trade, first of all, they had a very high odds setup to roll to the upside right here. Next, if they went long, I'm going to grant you here and here on the square on the turn, right? It was stop, stop. That sucks. It was one stop. Your stop would have been 30 points and you would have gotten stopped back out. That goes under, that's golden right there, right? And you can see we came against that where that first hour high trap was, and they rejected off of it basically, but not very easily. And you'll also notice the changing character, the lack of rotation, even in the European session, right? Now we come up here, right? So things. You could have decided to fight this. I think it would have been a very bad idea. trades if you did. I want to be clear. You could say, well, we had 3 bars up in the rotation. I can now take, I must have 3 bars in a row in order to take the trade. Okay, and I'm going to show you the difference. If you need 3 bars up, the rotation 2 bars up and stuffed is fine, then this is a loss. It's as simple as deciding how orthodox do you need the trade to be. To be direct, if I thought that was short, right, had that same setup come up just right under here or right over here, I probably would have shorted it against the failure point. But watch what happens is my next trade, right? My very next trade is right here. And this highlights the difference beautifully. Okay? Beautifully. The aggressor trader, me, takes a stop here. I'm minus 30 NQ points. I take the trade here. I'm obviously paid, and I can take the trade here. What kills everyone's trading is the inconsistency in the way you're doing the trade. And here's what that person said to me that was very, very very interesting. He said that because him out when his mediocre trades don't work, that he's free to take his mediocre trades, right? Because a bad day, the best trade will pay out. And I said, well, why not just stay to the best trade, right? And just get paid all the time, essentially, right? It's obviously not all the time. That's essentially what I argued back to him, right? Through that deal, right? You're clearly, here's a stop. This is 3 down, stuffed, stopped, right? Through the circuit. You can either use square on the turn, or delta stuff. So let me erase this real quick, which you should have been last night, right? Goes stop, square on the turn, delta stuffed, right there. Square on the turn, delta stuffed, right? Now, I'm not sure that survived that 30-point stop, and I'm not going to take time to measure it. And as you get closer to 7 and 7, that gets harder to take that trade, right? Those are the 2 trades I'm focused on. Turn, double square, most importantly, right, is my most important trade. Nothing's changing. What I'm trying to encourage y'all to do, right, is take your very best trade and don't come up with the idea that, well, it has to go up or it has to go down. Currently, we are trading up. Currently, we are trading up. Let's see. I think everything is up. Gold is silver's up 49. NQ's up 168. I don't know about bonds. How that is my guess. Or the yield is down at least. And because everyone's hanging on bonds all weekend long, and oil is up 95 cents to $100 a barrel. Okay, we know we're going to get news order flow, right? When a market turns, this is the characteristic of every bottom we've had in the last 10 years. The rotation is tiny and very compact, and finding the long gets more difficult because the rotations back get smaller and more frustrating to handle. This lasts for about a week. We just got to be more resilient and patient. If that happens, given the news environment, it is no big freaking deal at all, right? If you will, which by the way, I read the 1 minute trader, but if you performance in general, not lose money, right? When it makes money, it makes great money. You're trading specifically, right? If it gets slow, like there'll be transitions. If we come back down, we were at 30 VIX on Friday, right? VIX comes back down to 16, we're going to instead of the 32 tick, right? Minor adjustments is all this is. And if you want to know where to get the bigger trade, use your larger support resistance areas, either from profile or the hourly charts, right? And pick off your locations, right? Pick off your locations of where support. So let's go look at that right now. Let's start with where it's obvious, right? Look at the hourly chart. Here's the NQ hourly chart, and we'll look at it from both perspectives, right? Number one, when you look this morning, obviously Sunday night, there's number one, there's buyers down here. That's the first thing this tells you, right? We're going to close in order, right? Someone goes, uh-oh, we're underneath here. It's highly likely that we find more buyers. It doesn't take, right? It's Friday, right? We want to see when it, does it not get close? But what we want to see is obviously the strongest deal is we won't even get back to Friday's low, and then we'll go, oh, we couldn't even get close to Friday's low. That's interesting because this is the next area. We were unable to close underneath until we did, right? And that was for the first 3 hours of the market, right? We were unable to close underneath 23, 473.75. This morning, what I'd want to see is a consolidation underneath 473.75. This is away from the algo, just thinking broader terms. Underneath, backside test, failed to get back above. And if we did that, right? Now, the next place I would know is that this underneath 473 here, right? Right? We free range through that area. So I'd assume the range is 473 to 332. That's roughly 150 points of been ranging really clearly, right? And then we get to that area where there'll be the test from Friday's low. Do we get back underneath or do we trap? And then clearly they could not break out, right? We quite clearly held 23 to 22, right? So 23 to 22, and those are the key areas, right? They could not get above. They tried two. They could not get above 23, 556. You'll see that we went right into this 550. This was London right up here. And then you'll see from the prior overnight session, right, through this area, which means prior to breaking down, lowest close we can manage, there's basically railroad tracks right there. So my target would be somewhere between this prior day's low. We rejected off, they tried to hold it. So it's 23.7 to 23. And there's resistance, probably two locations in there, right? I don't know if we'll trend up. I do not know if we'll trend down. It's will be news, right? So if it starts trending up, some news that someone doesn't like, and you'll get a downward. That's when you have to strike. If, on the other hand, we can't rally and we start to tank, wait till someone blabs something. Get your good entry. Make sure your entry is on process. That would be my suggestion. Shrug your shoulders and go, well, the people, right, and just taking the trades as they come and go, they're the ones that are accounts, frankly. They may be bored, up their accounts, right? So you go look at it from a profile perspective, right? There's the profile. You can see we've been down a bunch of days in a row. What, I cut down the number of days. Let me look. Sorry, guys. and then I'll cut it back down after. Here's the last 50 days. Okay, so to me, when I see that long consolidation, right, the bottom of that consolidation, or 537, if I was going to call a bear market rally, right, that's where I'm targeting is the backside test, right? It'd be normal if picture, right? Breakdown out of balance, backside test, and then the choices are we either break down, backside test, reject off the bottom, or balance, and they attempt to trap back into balance, which means your targets are, you see all the naked volume points, 24,900 all the way up to 25,711, right? And the deal with that is we can get there very, very quickly in a bear market. Don't come in saying, well, it's got to fail. I've made that mistake in my career. Wrong. Stay on process. For me, it's, are we above and below? Are there rotations is my first question, right? What are the rotations? If it's not rotating, I do not want to trade since I'm usually counter trading, right? If there are no rotations, I want to trade with the trend I'm hoping for, right? For me, it usually takes me a day, maybe two, to get in line with what the market's doing. So I have to sit there and observe it on a Monday, right? So it's a short week. We have Good Friday, markets close on Friday. Futures close at 8:30 a.m., both Globex and US session, right? So I'm done on Thursday as far as I can tell, right? Monday and Tuesday, the last 2 days of the month, and the right? So that always can have pretty whack-a-mole price action, right? Running the 1 minute trader. It can be wicked on the last 2 days of the month. This is not the time to go on tilt. It is not going to be to have a preconceived notion of what the market can and cannot do today, right? It's going to be very difficult. You're going to get messages on Europe, anyone else who wants to throw in their 2 cents. And it's going to move the follow the algo as close in check. Okay. Bottom of that balance. That's my extended target. Okay. And the first clue that we're going to do that is we be above today's high, consolidate, inability to get back in below the high of Friday's high. Would it open us up to auction all the way through and back into that 310 to 37? There's obviously some naked volume points of control sitting in there, and then those 3 naked volume points of control up above into extended targets, right? And then the question is supernova or no supernova, right? So what I find is if you'll improve your observation of what rotates and what doesn't rotate, then where's my weak spot? When it's right, when it suck, right? So what I want to do is go, instead of using the timer to time me out of the trade, I want to use the number of stops. If I get 2 stops back to back, pause for 30 minutes. Now what that means is I can't complain if the third trade worked, right? And I'm referring specifically to the ES Delta stuffed stops in a row. They're rare most of the time. Okay, so if I know if I get 30 minutes, even if it means I don't have to come back to the next day to get the trade back or to get the capital back or however you want to reference it, that's fine, right? My other suggestion is if you're struggling to give pace to your trades is after you have a trade, winning or losing, start a 5-minute timer. If you're on tilt, that 5-minute timer will feel like eternity. Trading. That 5-minute timer will feel like eternity, right? And that's how you know you're on tilt, okay? Because you shouldn't be getting that many trades back to back to back unless we're some kind of hyper explosive market. I don't think I had ES. I have the same trade plan for ES as I do on NQ. And again, on ES, I am staying with the 8 tick. I'm not rolling back to the 24 tick. And I'm probably going to stay with the 8 tick for quite a while. Delta stuffed is really good, okay? But if rip to the upside, right? The delta stuff, okay, is going to require a little bit more skill set and patience. We're running up. I'm going to show you all the delta stuffs here. Here, it's working incredibly well right now on the. That won't be the case all the time. If you go back to like early December, late September, they just, in fact, the funny thing about this algo is if, and let's say you were brand new and you came in the room in September, you would say it didn't even show up once a day. It actually went for 3 days at one point with no delta stuff during the US session. To have rotation to make that trade work. Okay, we have to have rotation to make that trade work. Right? It's really, 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 really good. Okay, and this is what I am, because I can get more size right now on ES than on NQ in my cash account. That's what I am focused on. Okay, it's proving more reliable. It's giving me consistent rotations, and that's where I want to be located. Okay, my suggestion today is every other day in the past week is to wait till 9 o'clock, certainly till after 8:45. Some days it works, some days it doesn't. I would say what I've learned the most from this experience of the last 7 years of writing the algos and then finally getting to a point where it's like, let's just get the absolute best win rate and RR out of it, is you can always wait till after 9 o'clock, if not even 9:30, to start trading. You will get your trades, right? You may not get a lot of action, pay you. That's been my, right? So I'm gonna, did I cover everything that needs to be covered? Because ES is the same as NQ. Um, and I want to show you the value. Let me back out for a second. Okay, if I bring this, right? Okay, if I told you my focus is on the short side of the trade until I'm above the 5-minute 200, right? So this is all, right? This is most of last week, right? So above here I'm focused on, right? Underneath I'm focused. I get focused on the short. I'm going to get plenty of opportunity to get short entries in, right? I don't have to do an overly difficult analysis on the market file or whether we're one timing or not one timing, right? The rules are pretty easy. I don't want to short too far into the hole, right? But the to trigger when we're counter rallying, right? Maybe once. That's why I had that rule that 2 times back to back is out of the norm, right? So that's right. That's it. So I'll know today. I'm going to go NQ at 200. I'm looking for counter rotations back, and then my signal, and I'm taking it, and then the hourly or just the rotations to determine target. Paid, build the accounts, right? Unless you pass the build the account stage, right? Take your price day. That's the deal, right? That's really literally all you have to do. I did not look what the econ is today, but I will look. I farm payroll on Friday, which is crazy. So whatever. 9:30. Let's see. 9:15. Trump guaranteed. 30. Powell speaks. Powell. Yeah. Powell speaks. Williams speaks at the close. It's a desert. So you know there's Trump and then all the other crap that comes along with all this stuff, right? So the other thing you'll notice that when we change is when negative news comes out, no matter how you look at it, when negative news comes out, we won't get the down rotations we've been getting. Like, important that you stay observant of that and just go, oh, that used to be 300 down. Now it's whatever. 100 right now. S&P's up 56. And I've got nothing else to add on that at all. I'm looking forward to, again, getting paid. I'm not, obviously, my goal is not to short out of the open because I'm not even underneath that 200 and results in up, not down, right? That results in up enough of the time that I'm looking for pullbacks, not run-ups, and we'll see. And so there's more complicated ways to analyze. We're going to roll higher is wait on a 5-minute bar till you get a lower high. That's one way to analyze whether we are going to roll lower, and then you wait for a counter rotation. And you can do that, by the way, with a 1 minute or a 2 minute, but wait till you get a close on something other than a 1 minute, right? Push the time frame up, but wait till you get a close below on a 5 minute. And if it just falls away, right, just go, okay, it fell away. If you've got to be on the edge to look for the turn, that's what you do, okay? And I don't have much else to add. So I'll wait patiently until I get through I'll wait patiently till we get through the rotation. Let me open up the ES8 tick a little bit. And you can see again, we've gotten open. It's not very volatile at all, right? Wait till it opens up. It's Monday. Everyone's trying to figure it out, right? And if it just goes trend up on us, it just goes trend up on us, and that's that. I'm not on the 24 tick yet. I'll have to see it slow down dramatically, right? And I will point out as we go along, both the shorts and the longs. So there's Delta stuffed. On the NQ32 tick. I am running the sim. By the way, when you back test, if you don't set it to a 1 tick trade, what I've noticed consistently is that the live trading is outperforming, which is interesting, dramatically. Figure out how I want to distribute this into my main. Remember, London closes at. This is fine. I didn't want that. London closes back to 10:30. On the trader assist. And guys on YouTube, I've done the market preview. I will update later today.